All right. Let's dive into Flutter. Yeah, Flutter. It's like this, you got this killer app idea, right? But you want it on Android, iOS, maybe even the web.
The classic dilemma.
So traditionally that means what? Separate teams, separate code bases. It's a mess.
It's like building the same house twice, but with totally different blueprints and crews each time. A recipe for disaster, honestly.
Exactly. And that's where Flutter swoops in, right? This idea that you can build it all with one code base, one set of tools. Honestly, it's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's pretty revolutionary when you think about it.
So can you break it down for me? What is Flutter exactly?
So Flutter is essentially Google's UI toolkit. Think of it like a set of, digital building blocks. And you use these blocks to create these beautiful natively compiled apps. And get this, for mobile, web, and desktop.all from that single code base.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about efficiency and keeping things consistent no matter where your app ends up.
Okay, building blocks, I kind of get that. But what does natively compiled even mean? Like, I'm not a developer. I just want my app to, work smoothly.
Absolutely. And that's actually a big part of what makes Flutter different. So natively compiled, it means that the code you write with Flutter, it gets translated into a format that each platform understands at a very basic level, whether it's an iPhone, Android phone, whatever. And what that means is you get these apps that perform super smoothly, almost like they were built just for that device. You know what I mean? No lag, nothing clunky. It just works.
Right. Makes sense. But there are already a ton of cross-platform frameworks out there. What makes Flutter so different? It's not just about having that single code base, right?
No, there's definitely more to it. It's how Flutter actually achieves that single code base dream.
Yeah.
So Flutter uses these things called widgets. Think of them as like the DNA of your app's interface.
Widgets.
Yeah. Everything you see in a Flutter app, from a simple button to like a crazy animation, it's all made up of these widgets.
Widgets. I'm seeing that word everywhere on Flutter's website. But honestly,
yeah,
it's a little abstract. What makes this whole everything's a widget thing so special?
It's a game changer, honestly. Think of it this way. Imagine you're building a house.
Okay, I like where this is going.
And every single element, the walls, the windows, even down to the doorknobs and light switches, right?
Yeah.
They're all these standardized, modular components.
Oh, I see.
That's what Flutter does with these widgets.
So instead of custom building every little thing,
you've got these ready-made building blocks.
And they're customizable, too.
Exactly. And that speeds up development time like crazy.
Yeah.
But it's not just about speed. These widgets, they're so versatile. You can create these super complex UIs, really custom stuff, without writing mountains of code.
Right, because it's almost like having a design system built in.
It's like having a design system baked right in. Exactly.
Okay, yeah, I get it. That's pretty cool. It makes sense why developers are geeking out about this whole thing. But you mentioned earlier that Flutter apps are natively compiled. How does that work? Does Flutter just magically transform into Java for Android and Swift for iOS or something?
That's where Dart comes in.
Dart?
Yep, it's the programming language that, powers Flutter.
Right. Dart. I remember seeing that in the documentation. What makes it so special for this whole cross-platform thing?
Well, the cool thing about Dart is it was designed specifically with UI development in mind.
Okay.
And what makes it so powerful for Flutter, what makes this whole thing pick, is that Dart can be compiled directly into that native machine code.
So it's talking directly to the device in its own language.
Exactly. No translator needed. So when your Flutter app runs on an Android or iOS, it's not messing around. It's talking directly to the device's hardware in its own language.
That's got to be why Flutter apps are so known for their performance then, huh?
Exactly. No middleman to slow things down.
That is really clever. Okay, but shifting gears a bit here. The source material mentioned that Flutter can do more than just, simple interfaces. I'm thinking about accessing the device's camera, GPS data, all those more advanced features. Can Flutter handle that stuff?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, that's where Flutter really starts to shine. It gives you this really seamless integration with platform-specific APIs.
Platform-specific APIs? Okay, you lost me a bit there.
So imagine you need your phone to take a picture.
Right. Okay.
You wouldn't just start speaking to it in English or Mandarin or whatever.
Right.
You got to use the specific language that your phone understands.
Okay, I'm with you.
Platform-specific APIs, they're like languages for different devices.
Okay, so
Flutter gives you the tools to speak those languages so your app can use all the cool features that each platform has.
Okay, wow. So we're talking about building some seriously powerful apps here, not just pretty interfaces. But I gotta be honest, the more we learn about Flutter, the more I feel like there's just this, mountain of information.
Yeah, it can definitely feel that way at first.
Even with all this great explanation, just looking at Flutter's website, it's kind of overwhelming.
I get it. It's a lot to take in. But honestly, that's actually a good thing.
How so?
Because all those resources you're seeing, that's another thing that makes Flutter really special. It's not just like a tech stack, it's a whole ecosystem.
Okay, tell me more about this ecosystem. Is it just like technical documentation, or is there more to it?
Oh, it's way more than just docs. Though don't get me wrong, the documentation is really good.
Yeah.
But Flutter has this incredibly vibrant and supportive community behind it.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You've got the Flutter YouTube channel, which is awesome, packed with tutorials and talks. And then there's the package repository, which is amazing. It's basically where developers share reusable code. Like, think of them as, I don't know, open source building blocks for your app.
So instead of reinventing the wheel every time, you can just grab one of these pre-built components.
Exactly. Saves you a ton of time and effort. And the best part, if you ever get stuck, there are these forums. They're buzzing with people who are like so eager to help.
So it's like having this global network of like Flutter experts on call 24/7.
Pretty much. Yeah. That's the beauty of this community. It's always there to support you.
That's amazing. It sounds like Flutter is like more than just code. It's a movement, you know? It's really got me thinking differently. So for someone listening who's like ready to jump in, where would you recommend they start?
If you're ready to get your hands dirty and actually build something, I'd say check out Flutter's Write Your First Flutter App Code Lab.
Okay.
It's a really cool guided tutorial, walks you through the whole process step by step. You get a real taste of what it's like to actually develop with Flutter.
Sounds like a perfect starting point. And then what?
Once you've got those basics down, their Flutter Fundamentals documentation is your new best friend.
Got it.
It digs a little deeper into all the core concepts, the best practices, gives you a really solid foundation for building more, complex applications.
Awesome. This has been really eye-opening. Thinking about all this, it really feels like we're at this pivotal moment in app development with tools like Flutter closing that gap between platforms. Who knows what the future holds?
It's an exciting time to be a developer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
The possibilities are practically limitless.
I love that. Well said. And on that inspiring note, we'll wrap up our deep dive into Flutter. Hopefully you're feeling as inspired as I am to go out there and create something amazing. Until next time, everyone, keep exploring.